Hi everyone, Jessica here from Paper Ink Stamp and welcome back to another card making video. So today we're going to be taking another look at the latest issue of Creative Stampin'. So this is issue 89 and this is the stained glass Christmas stamp set, and then we've got the stained glass sentiment dies there as well. So we've got a sentiment and then a really nice sort of stained glass window border die. So today we're going to make a gatefold card that has got a sort of band that's going to go around it. So I picked a piece of cardstock, so I decided to go with a coloured card base today. So I picked up this really lovely Christmassy red and I'm just trimming this down to create our gatefold card. So the complete card is going to be 6 by 6 inch. So I cut my paper to be 12 inch by 6 inch, and then I'm going to score along each side at 3 inch, and then this is going to create our gatefold card base. So super easy to create. You could probably do this with an A4 sheet of paper. You might have to make your card a little bit smaller, but yeah, super easy to create your own gatefold cards. The next thing I'm going to do is cut some cardstock down just for our mats and layers. So I'm going to cut some white cardstock and some gold glitter card as well. So the size of our mats and layers are going to come down in inch increments. So the actual card flap on the front is going to be 3 inch by 6 inch. So my first layer, which is going to be the gold glitter card, that is going to be 2 3/4 inch by 5 3/4 inch, and then my white layer is going to be 2.5 by 5.5 inch. So again, just really easy maths to do there, and you get a really nice border of each of the colours. So I'm just going to lay this on here just so you can see. So I think I really love using gold glitter card, mirror card on Christmas cards. I just think it gives it a really lovely kind of festive look. It adds a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of glamour to your Christmas cards. So the first thing I'm going to do for our card is I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. So I'm going to take this really lovely stained glass window corner stamp. I'm going to pop it into my stamping platform. Now, what I stamp here isn't actually what I use on my final card. So the way that I've stamped it in the stamping platform is I lined it up with that bottom left-hand corner, and I'm just going to ink that up, and I'm going to rotate my cardstock 180 degrees, and I'm going to do that top corner. So what I wanted to have was each side to be mirrored of each other. So one is going to be in the outside corner, and then one is going to be on the inside corner. By the time I came to sort of putting my card together, once I'd created my sort of belly band for the card, I decided that I wanted to have them all on the outside. So you can see this is what they look like here, but I do change this towards the end because you can see it just doesn't look quite right. So even from here, I changed it once again, and then I changed it a third time when I come to the end. But we'll look at that again a little bit later. So the next thing we're going to look at creating is the main focus point of our card. So I wanted to create a circle using the quarter circle stamp. So that's what I'm going to do here. And then we're going to stamp one of the smaller circle stained glass windows in the centre. So I followed the instructions of the magazine. So I did try this for myself to begin with, and I really could not get this to work. So I followed the instructions they give in the magazine. So you've got picture and written instructions, and I still couldn't get it to work. So I did the lines corner to corner, got the centre points, got the, correct, or what I thought maybe was the correct position for this quarter stamp to give us a full circle, and I still just couldn't get it to work. So you'll see here when I stamp the second one, it's got a really big gap, and then I just felt like it was too far away from our centre stamp. So I ended up stamping this a bunch of times, trying it off camera, getting a variety of results, to be honest. So this isn't the one that I end up using on the card today. I managed to get it much closer together, but I still couldn't get that sort of true circle. So you can see here the variety of different results that I got. Again, following those instructions, it did say that there was a gap. So again, this is sort of as good as I could get it. I did try it another time, and then they ended up overlapping each other. So it was a little bit of a struggle, but I'm just using an alcohol marker just to fill in the lines to make it a full circle. But you don't notice it as much when we've coloured it and cut it out, but I still know it's not a true circle. I would have loved it if I could have made a true circle from this. But now that we've got that done, we can go ahead and start colouring this in. So I'm really not doing anything special here. I am using my TriBlend markers just to colour this in. In other cards and projects that I've done, I have still done the shading and things using these markers, but I just thought I would create more of a flat image and more of a stained glass kind of image here. So the colours I'm just using like a gold brown, I'm using red, green, very traditional, and then I did put a little bit of blue just to kind of break it up a little bit. The one thing I will say is I did stamp this in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This is not an alcohol-friendly ink pad. For the majority, I didn't have any issues because I was kind of aware of the fact, and I didn't kind of go in too heavy-handed. The only spots I did notice where it bled just a tiny bit was in this ring here with the holly leaves and on those sort of black dots, because obviously it's a heavier amount of ink in those sections. It did bleed out a little bit. But it wasn't really as much of an issue. To get around this, I would obviously use an alcohol-friendly ink pad, or if you don't have one, then using something like clear embossing powder before you apply your colour. That would just help with any sort of bleeding or anything like that. But really, strictly speaking, you should use an alcohol-friendly ink pad. So once I finished all the colouring, I don't really have any nesting dies, to be honest, and I didn't have a circle nesting die that was this big, so I did just cut this by hand. The only advantage this gave me was then the sections where it sort of dipped in a little bit on the end of the stamp, I did cut this slightly wider and then just went around with a black alcohol marker and just filled those sections in. So again, I think something like this helped then the fact that this wasn't a true circle image. So that is that finished for the time being. So we're going to put that to one side, and then we're going to get started putting our cardstock, our actual card together. So we're going to use some double-sided tape to attach our gold glitter panels. I have off camera created a band for this card. So it doesn't matter what the width of your band is, it's super important about the length. So you don't want to make it the same, you don't want to cut it the same length as your cardstock, because if it's the same size, it's not going to slip on and off easy, it's going to be too tight. So we originally cut this card base down to 12 inch. So my band I cut at just over 12 inch, because then it gives a little bit of wiggle room just to be able to get that band on and off. So you can see it here. All you need to do is still just put 2 creases in. So you still want it to be 6 inch or just slightly over 6 inch from the front and the back. So then with these corner pieces, you can see here, so again, these aren't the pieces that I stamped at the beginning of the video. When I got to this stage of just putting this card together, how I had stamped them, I didn't like it. I didn't think it went as well as doing it as proper corner stamps like this. So I just went back, recut the panels, re-stamped them, and now I'm just going to colour them in with these TriBlend markers again, and I'm just using the exact same colours I used on the circle images. So I wanted it all to blend in really nicely. And again, because I didn't do any blending with the TriBlend markers, I was able then for the background of the stained glass to make use of each of the colours on that one pen. So we're going to attach this now, just again some double-sided tape. We're going to put this on top of the gold glitter card, and that is just going to create really beautiful matte inlay for this card. So I'm really loving how this is all coming together. I like to try and make different cards. I don't always like just to make the same sort of slimline, you know, the big square cards or the A5 cards. Try to make something a little bit different. And again, creating a band is a good way of using different images, because then you are using stamps for the background, you're creating a big foreground piece, and it doesn't mean then that you have to have everything on top of each other. I just think it sort of works really nicely, and still with that little bit of white that you can see in there as well, I think that works. So I'm just going to attach our big stained glass piece onto our band. So just put some double-sided tape on the back, just 2 strips, and then I'm going to attach this to the band. The other thing I really love is looking at when I use alcohol markers, is looking at the back of it, because it's depending on how you've coloured it, it gives it like a really beautiful, like muted, no lines look, and I really love the back of this piece as well as the front of it. So now I've got that attached to our band, so I'm going to slip this on. You can see how that's just going to fit literally so perfectly in the centre of this card. And the only thing it needs now is a sentiment. So we're going to take the stained glass sentiment die. So I'm going to die cut this out of some black cardstock. I'm going to use one of the hacks that I showed you in a previous video, and rather than having to find some stick it adhesive sheets, or using some glue, making a little bit of a mess, just gonna line the back of the cardstock with some double-sided tape and literally run it through the die cutting machine as normal, and it works just as well. So after I attach this to our card, I'm just going to go over it with one of the shimmer pens from Spectrum Noir, just to add a little bit of a sparkle to the card. So I didn't add any gems, any other embellishments or anything like that. I think there's enough going on, there's enough colour in the card itself that I'm really, really pleased with how this has turned out, again, after just a little bit of trouble that I had trying to get the images right. Obviously, I'd restamped that circle a few times, and I restamped then those corner pieces, and 3 times I did those as well. So a lot of effort got into restamping certain sections of this card, but I wanted to make sure that it was good and that it sort of went together really nicely. And I'm really, really happy with how this has turned out. The extra thing that I did do was pop a sentiment on the inside. I really love this piece. Love, peace and joy to you at Christmas. Really great size, and it just went really perfectly within this card. So that is it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's given you a little bit more inspiration on what you can do with this Creative Stampin' issue 89. So this is the stained glass Christmas set, and you've got that stained glass sentiment die in there as well. So a really great package this month. So yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you like the card, please give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do so you don't miss out on any future videos. So that's it. Thanks for watching and happy crafting.